As you progress through your 20s, naturally you're going to find new ways to waste your money. You're going to find new things to spend your money on that don't matter. You're going to find different ways to kind of blow through your money. And the issue is, most people don't waste money in obvious ways. It's not massive splurges every day. It's just normal, socially accepted spending that feels harmless because it's very normalized. Until you look back on it and you realize how much progress that it truly steals from your financial freedom. So in this video, we're going to cover the things that pretty much everyone in their 20s wastes their money on. You might have fallen for some of these purchases. I know that I've fallen for some of these purchases. And the main problem is that it's very normalized to spend your money on these things when these are the true things that are holding you back from your financial freedom in your 20s. So let's get into the video. So the first thing that comes to mind when I think of things that people in their 20s waste a lot of their money on, that's convenience spending. So this is spending on things you don't actually need that make your life convenient. So this is as simple as food delivery when you could easily cook at home or go get the food yourself. You guys know that Uber Eats and DoorDash, all that stuff is extremely expensive and pretty much for no reason because you could easily get in your car or you could easily just cook at home. This could also be Uber, when you could walk, drive, bike ride, whatever it might be. And this is also paying a little bit extra to save 5 minutes or paying a little bit extra to get your package a little bit earlier. Whatever builds convenience in your life that charges you a lot of money at the same time, usually 9 out of 10 times is just a waste of money in the first place. And at first, it definitely feels justified, right? Because maybe you're busy, maybe you're tired, maybe you've had a long day of work, and one order doesn't seem like a big deal. It doesn't seem like it's setting you back, whatever it might be. But convenience spending, the biggest problem with it is it can become a habit, and that habit can compound over time. So what really happens is you start outsourcing small inconveniences instead of building a system. So maybe one day you wake up and you realize that for the past week, you've been door dashing, or for the past, couple days, you've been taking Uber to work, whatever it might be. And those small conveniences quickly train you to spend money and not live frugally. So over time, you're not really paying for the convenience anymore. You're paying because your baseline expectation has shifted over what's convenient and what's worth it to spend your money on. And that can be very expensive. So the first thing that comes to mind when I think of things that everyone in their 20s seems to spend their money on, that's convenience spending. So try not to get into the habit of doing that. If you can cook at home, if you can go get your food, if you can walk home, if you can drive home, whatever you can do, stay away from convenience spending as much as you can because that will drain a lot of your financial progress. Now, the next thing that I see a whole bunch of people in their 20s just absolutely blowing money on, and that's subscriptions. This is a huge waste of money in your 20s. And that's because, as you guys know, subscriptions are just everywhere in 2025, and it's probably going to get worse in 2026. There's literally a subscription now for everything. There's a subscription for music services, for streaming services, for cloud storage, for fitness apps, for random tools. Literally, there's a subscription service for everything nowadays. And none of them, here's the problem, none of them feel expensive individually, right? YouTube Premium's like $18. Netflix is I think it's like $20 now. iCloud storage is like 99 cents. A few other things I know are cheaper. But you stack all that together, and now you're like at $100 a month of subscription services when you might only use 2 to 3 of them on a monthly basis. And the worst part isn't even the money you're spending. It's that subscriptions normalize renting your life away instead of actually owning it. So you need to ask yourself, do I really use this subscription service? And I would say if you don't use it at least a couple times a week, I would say it's okay to get rid of it. And a problem too is a lot of people sign up for these subscription services and they pay them automatically. So it becomes a habit as well to just pay away for these subscription services when you actually have no idea how much money you're spending because it can get very out of hand very quickly. So I'm telling you guys, if you ever want to feel instantly richer, go through your subscription services and cancel like 2 to 3 of them. Instantaneously, you're going to feel like you're in way more control of your finances because most people could probably cancel half of them and honestly not feel a difference and just continue their day-to-day life as normal. Because for example, you have Netflix nowadays. If you have you have to have like 3 to 4 different streaming services to actually watch the shows you want to watch. So maybe cancel 2 of them or cancel 1 of them. that right there is going to save you maybe 15 to 20 bucks a month, and you can still watch, the majority of shows you'd like to watch. So subscription services are by far one of the biggest things that people in their 20s just absolutely blow so much of their money on. The next thing that a lot of people in their 20s just blow so much money on is going out every single weekend. Like they go out like it's a weekly obligation. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys you shouldn't go out, you shouldn't enjoy time with your friends, but I will say I am a big advocate for not going out. And here's the thing. First of all, I feel like going out nowadays, especially in your 20s, like who actually goes out to have fun? I feel like people go out to like post that they're out and be on their phones and not actually enjoy other people. Like, I don't know about you guys, I would rather do something with my friends at my house versus going out somewhere. Like, it's just not my vibe. And the other thing too is, one, you're also going to come across a lot of people who try to compare themselves and seem cool that they go out. So that's always a problem as well. And then two, a lot of people you'll meet when they go out, they associate going out and having fun with drinking and doing bad habits, which is another thing I'm very much against. I don't think you need to drink to have fun. And a lot of people will treat you like you do need to drink to have fun. So far from all the personal stuff when it comes to going out, it's also just super expensive. Like, I don't know how people have the money to go out every weekend. And the people who do go out every weekend, I would love to see their finances, because there's no way this is an affordable lifestyle. And what people don't realize is that going out costs more than money, right? It's going to cost your time. It's going to cost your energy. And those are things where instead of going out, you could be building something. You could be working on something. You could be trying to increase your income. You could try to be, getting more financially literate, whatever it might be. And one, late night can turn into a whole just wasted morning on a Saturday or wasted morning on a Sunday. And a wasted morning usually turns into some type of lazy day. And suddenly your entire weekend disappears because you decided to go out on Friday and Saturday. And when you can step back from going out, everything will change. Your savings, your focus, your energy, your goals, literally everything. Like, I'm not one for, going out. And I remember when me and my girlfriend first turned 21, we went to a restaurant, right? Just to go out for a weekend. And we got a few drinks and it was like $100 and something. I'm like, how do people do this? It's just not really my thing. And I think if you could figure out how to not go out on weekends, but still enjoy your life and still use your weekends to your advantage, you'll notice a lot of positive changes in your life. So at the end of the day, if you enjoy going out, that's awesome. You definitely don't need to quit going out, but stop letting it run your life and or stop letting it run your finances. Find ways to go out, have fun with your friends, be a sociable person without letting your finances take a massive hit as well. The fourth thing that, this is something I fell for, I'm sure a lot of people fall for, is just letting car payments ruin your life. Like, I would say the majority of my early 20s, I was financially ruined by car payments, because cars are one of the most normalized money traps in your 20s. A lot of people are going to upgrade their car the moment they get a better job. I did this. Literally every time I got promoted, I bought a new car. That's how bad it was. And a lot of people tell themselves, I deserve it. I've been working hard, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to go buy a new car. Not because they need to, but because it feels like progress. They want to show it off, whatever it might be. And the problem is, cars come with a high payment, then you have higher insurance, then you have usually higher maintenance, gas, repairs, whatever it might be. And suddenly you're locked into hundreds, sometimes thousands a month for something that loses value. It's literally a depreciating asset. And that money is something that could have been invested, could have been put into a savings account, could have been used towards buying freedom. Instead, it's tied up in something that's just going to keep losing value every single day that goes by and every single time you drive it from point A to point B. So look, cars are not evil. I love cars. I'm a car guy. My dream car is a Porsche 911. But at the end of the day, overpaying for one way too early before your finances can keep up, that is a huge problem and will financially set you back for a very long time in your early to mid 20s, honestly, whatever point you're at in life. So if you're someone out there that maybe just got a raise and you're watching this video and you're thinking about, buying a new car, I implore you to hold off on that decision and just think it over before you really lock yourself into a car payment. I remember when I got promoted one time, I went out, I bought a Model 3 Performance Tesla, and my car payments were almost $700 a month. One of the worst decisions I ever made, and I got rid of it within 4 months because I'm like, I cannot financially support this. So please do not buy cars in your 20s that lock you into payments, because that is going to financially ruin your 30s and 40s. Now, this one plays off the point of buying a car, but the next one is just lifestyle inflation that you don't notice happening. I mean, this can come in all different shapes and forms, but one of the biggest money mistakes that people make is upgrading their lifestyle without upgrading their system. Kind of same thing. You start getting paid a little bit more and you're going to go get a better apartment, or you're going to start eating out more, or you're going to maybe add more subscriptions, or you're going to maybe treat yourself a little more to nicer things. And it happens slowly, but that's why it's dangerous, because your income's going to go up and then your spending is going to follow that. And before you know it, you're making more money than ever, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck. And you're sitting there kind of wondering, well, hey, I just got a $10,000 raise. Why can I still not afford anything? Well, it's probably because you're spending more money. You're wasting more money on things that don't really matter. Look, at the end of the day, materialistic things do not matter when it comes to your life, right? The main things that matter are setting yourself up for success and being financially literate so you can have, less stress, less anxiety over time, and set yourself up for freedom the older you get. And real financial growth comes from keeping your lifestyle as stable as possible while your income increases. And let me say that again, because that's one of the hardest things for a lot of people in their 20s to wrap their head around. As your income increases, you need to keep your lifestyle on kind of the same path, because that gap, if you can have a very normal, easygoing lifestyle and you keep increasing your income every year, that gap is where true financial freedom will be built. Number 6 is clothes. And I know this is kind of a weird one, but let me explain myself. I know there's going to be some people who make the argument saying when you buy high quality clothing, it is worth it. I do agree with that to a certain extent. If you are going, let's say, let me give you a good example. If you're going to buy a leather jacket, right? A good leather jacket might be $400 to $500. But if you take care of that leather jacket, it'll probably last you 80 years, right? If you get it from a good company. Where I'm talking about clothes is two things. I'm talking about clothes when it comes to like designer clothes, because a lot of people in their 20s, they're going to spend money on like designer clothing, right? Like denim tears, chrome hearts, stuff like that. Look, all of that stuff at the end of the day is shit quality, right? It's not good quality clothing, but it has the name of it. And that's why a lot of people buy it, because they think it's cool. They want to show off to their friends that they have money to spend on a $400 t-shirt. And it's like, bro, at the end of the day, you're wearing clothing that a lot of other people have and you're spending just way too much money on it. So that's my first point when it comes to clothing. The next thing is buying outfits through like fast fashion, where you're kind of going the opposite direction of the first thing I mentioned, where now you're buying clothing that's like $6 a t-shirt, or something off of like Shein, straight from the warehouse in China. And the problem with that is those clothes are usually, one, they probably don't fit you correctly. Two, they're just so cheaply made that if you like walk into a wall, it's going to rip in half. Those are also things that you really shouldn't be spending your money on, because you can waste money very quickly. I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, clothes on Shein are so cheap, I'm just going to buy $200 worth of clothes. And you see where the problem is? Like, because the clothes are so cheap, they tell themselves they can buy more. And that's a huge issue as well. So at the end of the day, most people will regret how much money they spent on clothes. And my kind of hack for you guys is my favorite way to buy clothing, especially now that I have an office job and I kind of have to buy like nice looking clothing, is just the clearance section. I don't know why people don't use the clearance section more, but like you can get really nice stuff from really nice companies for literally like 80% off. And yeah, sure, they might not have your size, but like if you just look, you'll probably find your size for 80% off, and it's the same quote unquote quality that you would get in the first place. You just get it on clearance. So clothes is one of those things that a lot of people in their 20s just waste so much of their money on, especially too, some people are still growing. So I would try to refrain from spending a lot of money on clothing in your 20s. And if you want to buy nice clothing, for certain things, sure, buy the high quality version. And for other things, kind of audit exactly how you want to spend your money. The next thing that a lot of people in their 20s waste their money on is furniture. And once again, just like the clothing, there's two different versions of this. There's the one where people, move a lot in their 20s, different apartments, cities, roommates, and people, spend like they're settling down, right? They'll buy expensive couches, they'll buy tables, decor, bedroom sets, and this stuff is expensive. Like if you guys don't know the price of furniture, I'd recommend looking at prices of furniture and stuff. The stuff gets really expensive. So you have those types of people where they're spending money on expensive things, but then you also have cheap furniture. So once again, this is just like clothing. You kind of have to find that mid ground because trust me, I've spent money on my fair share of like, cheap furniture. And let me tell you something, cheap furniture sucks. Like it's going to fall apart. It's going to get messed up. The paint's going to suck. It's not going to be comfortable. And you're going to waste a lot of your money on cheap furniture too. So there's nothing wrong with wanting a comfortable space to live in by any means. Like everyone wants to be comfortable where they live. But just like clothing, overspending and underspending can be very detrimental in your 20s, and you can waste a lot of money on furniture before your life is stable enough to spend the money you want to spend on that actual furniture. So once again, easy tips for spending money on furniture. First thing, you could shop secondhand, right? You could go to like, Goodwill, secondhand furniture places, marketplace. I know a lot of people aren't too keen on doing that because, obviously someone else has had it in their house before. So some people don't really like doing that, which I respect. But, you could just try to find kind of middle of the road companies, right? You don't need to go to the most expensive places to buy furniture, but I also would probably stay away from like Amazon when buying furniture. And I know there's multiple companies that offer kind of mid-ground furniture that's not going to break the bank, but it's also going to be decent enough quality to get you through your year lease or, a couple moves. The next thing that I see a lot of people in their 20s just blow so much money on and waste a lot of money on is electronics that they don't actually need, right? A lot of people go and upgrade to the newest phone when they can. They'll buy the newest tablets, the newest headphones, smart devices. And let's be honest, a lot of people are buying these things for the hype of them rather than the actual function, because the likelihood that the new iPhone has a brand new groundbreaking function than the old iPhone is probably very low. Same with every other phone, same with every other tablet, or getting into technology before actually knowing if you would like it. For example, I know a few friends of mine who have tried to get into photography, and they'll go, and if you guys don't know, cameras are super expensive. They'll go buy a super expensive camera, they'll do photography for like a month and then drop it. And now they have a $2,000 camera sitting in their house as like a paperweight. So, it's kind of looking at what you actually need out of your technology and if your current technology lineup provides that. Because if it does, there's really no reason to go spend extra money on new technology. And you'll find a lot of people convince themselves that they need the newest technology when the old one works just fine. I mean, I still have an iPhone 14 Plus, and my iPhone 14 Plus works just fine. The battery's still good, it runs good, everything about it's perfect. And the dopamine hit with new technology fades extremely fast, but the cost is always going to be there, right? You're always going to be making those payments, or you're going to take a big hit because technology nowadays is just super expensive. And usually by upgrading less, you're not taking any true hit to your quality of life or what the technology is actually doing for you in the first place. Number 9, and this is going to be courses or online programs or tools that you've just never finished. Now, there's also a caveat to this that I want to add, but first, this one hurts because it can come from very good intentions, right? A lot of people in their 20s are going to waste money on courses or on programs or just tools that never really apply any value to their life. People are going to buy courses and they're going to think that it's going to change everything, or it's going to land them that dream job, while I respect the thought process, you have to audit how much you're actually spending on these courses. There's a lot of courses nowadays that are not only free, but pretty cheap. Like I remember, I'm in data analytics and I took the Google data analytics course through Coursera. And I think it was $39 a month, and it took me 3 months to complete. That's not too much money, right? Like I got a nice certificate from Google out of it. It looks good on my resume, and it was pretty cheap. But when you're spending thousands of dollars on a course, the likelihood that it actually pays off those thousands of dollars is probably pretty low. And the other thing too I want to touch on is the amount of people nowadays who are selling courses online, talking about like multi-level marketing or brand scaling or this. Look, if you are out there and you're paying for someone's course on social media marketing or brand scaling, please don't do this. the likelihood that these people are actually making good money from what they actually do is extremely low. They're making money because there's a whole bunch of guys in their 20s and 30s paying for these courses, and that's where they're making the money from, right? And there's a few people I can mention on YouTube, but I'm not going to do that. But the likelihood that these guys are truly making money from what they're showing you in their course is not really the reality of the life they're living. And the same thing goes with a lot of courses that have to do with like day trading and investing. Please do not buy these courses. Like, I know the intention's good. I know you want to make more money, but I promise you, usually 90% of the times, all these investing and make money quick courses are 99.9% of times just a scam for the person who's selling the course to actually make money off of you. So look, at the end of the day, a lot of information you can get online is free. A lot of, time, you could save yourself a lot of time and money if you do the research yourself, you find out what you want to learn, and information at the end of the day is just cheap. It's the execution on the information that you learn. That's what's gonna, that's the hard part. And that's the part that if you can bridge that gap, you can save yourself a lot of money. And the last thing that I see a lot of people in their 20s just have no idea how much money they're wasting is credit card interest. And, this comes from kind of the idea of like, oh, I'll just pay it off later, right? Like, I made a purchase on my credit card. I'll pay the minimum payment. I'll just pay it off later. This is one of the most expensive things that will truly, truly hold you back when it comes to your finances for a very long time, because a lot of people in their 20s don't rack up credit card debt from emergencies, right? It's just a fact. It comes from normal life. It comes from daily purchases. It comes from subscriptions. It comes from impulse spending. It can come from trips or clothes or everything we talked about in this video, going out. That's where your credit card interest is going to come from. And the problem is, the mistake is not using the credit card, right? Like I've talked about on this channel before, where I don't necessarily mind credit cards if you know how to use it, but it's carrying a balance on that credit card and telling yourself that you'll deal with it later. Because if you guys ever look at your credit card statements, if you pay the minimum payment, they'll like project you to pay it off 5 to 10 years down the road. Like I remember, for example, I have a Discover credit card and I had like $300 on it. And it said that if I pay the minimum payment, I will end up spending like $200 in interest and I'll pay it off in like 2028. I was like blown away thinking that there's some people who carry a balance of like $10,000. And now I don't even know when their timeline is to pay it off. So suddenly you get to this point where you've literally paid more than your original purchase in interest for things that you might not even own anymore. Or you might not even remember buying. So what the biggest problem is, realizing how much interest has delayed your financial progress. And that money could have gone to savings. It could have gone to investing. It could have gone to getting out of stress or a bad situation faster. Instead, it went to kind of past used purchases for kind of no reason. So most people look back and don't regret the actual purchase itself, right? Like if you've bought something on a credit card, you probably don't regret it, but you regret how much you end up actually paying for it, because sometimes it can be twice as much as you actually paid in the first place because of the interest payment. So if you are going to use your credit card, please use it wisely. Please do not carry a balance, because those interest payments will add up so much over time, and you'll have no idea how much money you're actually blowing and wasting in your 20s from carrying a balance over. So those are the 10 things that, in my opinion, a lot of people in their 20s just blow money on, waste money on. And, usually all those things kind of add up quietly, right? Like you don't really think about those things while they're happening until you look back, until you try to get in control of your finances. You're like, geez, I'm spending all this money on these random purchases. So if you catch yourself falling for some of these purchases, or you catch yourself spending a lot of your money and wasting your money on these purchases, that's okay, right? This is normal. I've probably fallen for 9 out of 10 of these, different kind of financial traps in your 20s, but it's something to be cognizant of. It's something to try to audit, something to try to get in control of your finances of, and think where you can cut out certain purchases when it comes to your 20s to put yourself ahead. So if you guys have anything else that you think people in their 20s spend their money on and waste their money on, drop it in the comments. I know there's a whole bunch of other things we could probably come up with, but other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. See you guys.